गुड आफ्टरनून स्टूडेंट्स, वेलकम टू राज मल्होत्रा IAS एकेडमी। आज हम करंट अफेयर्स डिस्कस करने वाले हैं। दो इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक हैं। इट्स बायोलॉजिकल डाइवर्सिटी एक्ट, अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 2021, which is related to biological diversity act 2002. Okay, second is our about 52nd tiger reserve. So I will discuss in detail about Biodiversity Act, if I say in short, or Biological Diversity Act Amendment 2021. I will discuss these things in detail. Okay. First of all, we will discuss about what is biodiversity. If in layman language I talk about biodiversity, the complete life form, total life forms all over the earth. You can take in specific area, district, state, or any, you can say, generalized area. The total life forms in that area is your biodiversity. Fine. Now, why we are discussing biodiversity? Because of loss of biodiversity. What is loss of biodiversity? Decrease in number of living forms, living species, or you can say diversity of species. Diversity means in terms of genetics, in terms of species, in terms of your ecosystems. That diversity is, we are losing that diversity due to anthropogenic regions or due to human regions. Okay, and why these amendments are there, we will discuss in detail. What are the major factors by which biodiversity is, we are losing biodiversity? Habitat loss. All of you know about habitat loss, fragmentation of habitats. Second thing is invasive species, which I have discussed in Wildlife Amendment Act 2021 also. Invasive species are the species which are not native of that place. For example, water hyacinth is not a native of India, but we introduce water hyacinth. It has a competitive edge over native species. So what will happen? It will survive, it will thrive in foreign condition or Indian condition because it has a competitive advantage and it has effect on native vegetation or native flora and fauna. Then you can say over exploitation. Humans are the major, you can say, over exploiters of every life form. You can say, for example, animal husbandry or crops or anything, we are over exploiting the things. And many species like you can say passenger pigeon in USA or like Steelers cow in Russia have been extinct due to over exploitation. Then you have pollution. Everybody know about pollution. Pollution is the major cause of biodiversity loss. And climate, global warming. Due to global warming, the ecosystems are either they are changing their position or area. You can say geographical distribution of ecosystem is changing, and due to that there is loss of biodiversity also. Fine. Now why we are talking about these biodiversity? Because at some point humans realize that we have to work on this, we have to save, we have to conserve the biodiversity, because the biodiversity, for example, I give you a simple example. 50% of the drugs discovered in USA in past 30 years are substances which are obtained from living organisms. अब सोचो कि अगर 50% आपकी ड्रग्स लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म बायोडाइवर्सिटी से ही तो आ रही हैं. Getting my point or not? So this is why because many ecosystem services, many services related to biodiversity we are using. Many drugs, malaria drug is nothing, it's a substance from a tree. Getting penicillin, penicillin is product of fungal product है, fungi की product है. Getting it or not? So it is our duty, or you can say we should conserve biodiversity. Fine. Nothing new. So while conserving and using, conserve करना है, but we have to use it for development also. There are two important terms. Bioprospecting, we will not talk about bioprospecting here. Bioprospecting is nothing, it's the use of chemical substance, biochemical reaction or genetics for the human benefit or commercialization. That is bioprospecting. If you are making a drug from a medicinal plant, or you are taking out a process which can be used or which can be commercialized, is bioprospecting. But here we will talk about biopiracy. What do you mean by biopiracy? And what is the relation of biopiracy with this act? Biopiracy is nothing. Biopiracy is unethical use of, listen carefully, unethical use of genetic and you can say living resources or processes by a country, especially western country करते हैं. Western or European countries क्या करते हैं? They use the genetic resources or biological resources of a country without sharing the benefits, without sharing the commercial benefits. वो उनको बेनिफिट हो रहा है बट दे आर नॉट शेयरिंग. दिस इज बायोपायरेसी एंड वी हैव बायोलॉजिकल डाइवर्सिटी एक्ट to stop the biopiracy. Main thing is to stop the biopiracy or to conserve the biological resources of our country. सिंपल सी बात है, हमें बायोपायरेसी रोकनी है. अब वो कैसे रोकेंगे? We have a act. We will talk about that act in detail. So at world level or you can say at international level, you know about UN Convention on Biological Diversity, 1992. It was one of the outcome of your Earth Summit 1992. सबको पता है ये United Nation Convention on Biological Diversity. This was one of the convention or you can say outcome of Earth Summit 1992. Other two were United Nation Framework Convention on Climate Change and United Nation Convention on Combating Desertification. These were major outcome of Earth Summit, and for us important is United Nation Convention on Biological Diversity. Of these two protocols came out of these CBD conventions. One is your Cartagena Protocol in 2003, Cartagena Protocol in 2003 and Nagoya Protocol in 2014. So what are these? This was about biosafety of, or you can say this was about the import and export of GMOs or LMOs, living modified organisms. Means if a country is exporting or importing any living modified organism, it have to go through the process of, you can say, process of Cartagena Protocol. Means they have to inform the importing country that there is something genetically modified and what are the safety features or what are, you can say, what can be the consequences of that. For us important is Nagoya Protocol. Nagoya Protocol deals with the biopiracy, or it says about the equitable sharing of biological resources or benefits arising out of the biological resources. वो उसकी बात करता है. And two, you can say, to came in line with, you can say, equitable sharing of resources, India in line with United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. In 2002, Indian government passed National Biodiversity or Biological Diversity Act 2002. This one, we can say it Biodiversity Act also or Biological Diversity Act 2002, and we are amending this. You don't have to read from this. This is an example of biopiracy. Two examples of biopiracy. Neem, you know, neem is a plant in India, native plant in India. It is used for various antimicrobial activities. For example, antifungal activities, antibacterial activities. We use oil, we use the products of neem or not. But some of the US, especially US, not US, European companies, what they did, what they did, European companies, they patented the product, or you can say chemical substances which are extracted from neem oil. उन्हें extract किया and they patented it. Some of the, you can say, environmentalist of India stood against this, and in 2005 India won the case, or you can say these environmentalists won the case, and European Union nullified this patent. Why? Because these things, these oils or extractions are used for thousands of years as a traditional knowledge. हमेशा use करते आए. Getting my point? In same way, some of the companies are patenting African sweet berries, super sweet berries. Why these are called super sweet berries? They are very, very sweet, but their calorific value, calorific समझते हो? Energetic value. For example, a diabetic patient eats something, carbohydrate, its glucose level increase because caloric value of carbohydrate is very high. Fine, sugar is very high. So the patients of diabetes are, you can say, they cannot eat any kind of sugar because of it will rise the blood sugar level. Fine, but by eating these, they will feel sweet, but because of its low calorific value, what will happen? They will not feel the rise in their blood glucose level. समझ रहे हो? Now what US companies are doing? They are patenting the chemical which is extracted from these berries. वो क्या कर रहे हैं? जो chemical है, main chemical कौन सा है आपका? This brezine. Brezine is responsible for your this property, sweetness, excess of sweetness of your super sweet berries of Africa, and African people are using this from thousands of years. But now some companies are trying to patent it, and they will, if they file and get a patent of this, then they will not share this knowledge or benefits arising out of this knowledge with African people. But who are the major conservators, or you can say who have conserved these? African people. This is biopiracy. Now, Biodiversity Act 2000. So it was against biopiracy, and there are 3 levels of, you can say, authorities: biodiversity, National Biodiversity Board, National Biodiversity Board Authority, you can say NBA, State Biodiversity Board, and Biodiversity Management Committees at district level. These are the 3 pillars of this act: National Biodiversity Authority, State Biodiversity Boards, and Biodiversity Management. And listen carefully, this is very important point. It has power of a civil court. उसके किसकी पावर है? Civil court की power है. This is to check the biopiracy. Okay, all foreign nationals have to take approval, prior approval from an NBA, National Biodiversity Authority, for using the biological resources of India. Then Indian individual using the resources or publishing something about the biological resources of India in a foreign magazine, then they have to take approval from the NBA. समझ लो? But there can be exceptions. Okay. For example, Indian citizen, local, including Veds and Hakims, are not, and you can say, are allowed to have free access to these biological resources, medicinal plants, etc., etc. Okay. Then before applying any intellectual property right, or you can say patent, they have to take prior permission of your NBA, and the benefit will be going through the National Biodiversity Fund. And while patenting, they have to share the benefits with local people and local communities, and that was the main, you can say, concern of Nagoya Protocol. नगोया प्रोटोकॉल का वो मेन कंसर्न था. Okay, now what will be the main changes and how these are going to affect the biological resources of India? First is encourage the why. First thing is why Indian government is bringing this bill. The main thing is there is tight regulation through this bill, Biodiversity Act 2002, tight regulation of biological resources. So if you want to have foreign FDIs, foreign direct investment, or you want multinational companies to invest in biological resources or traditional knowledge of India, then you have to open your market. That's why they are bringing this, to encourage the Indian system of medicine and civilization of wild medicinal plants, fast tracking processing of research patent applications, decriminalizing the offenses, so that the more investors are able to, we can win the confidence of the more investors. Okay, encourage the foreign investment. And the bill also amends the act to include references of Nagoya Protocol. Nagoya Protocol ki it will be in line with Nagoya Protocol. Okay, but there are some issues, and there are, what are the important changes I will discuss with you. What are the major issues and important points which have been, you can say, which are somewhat, you can say, controversial. Fine. So what are the important things, sorry, which this amendment is bringing? Access to biological resources, biological knowledge or resources. Now this is very important for assessing any kind of biological resources. Foreign companies, NRIs, foreign individual have to take approval of NBA. But issue here is they have changed a definition of foreign companies. Foreign companies definition will be in accordance to Companies Act 2013. That will be according to the Companies Act 2013, and that is controversial because the definition in that and in Company Act 2013 and in Biological Diversity Amendment Act 2021 are different. दोनों अलग अलग है. I will talk about that. Okay, fine. And who are the authorities we will provide the approvals? Two authorities. NBA. NBA means National Biodiversity Authority, and SBB, State Biodiversity Boards, are the concerning authorities which will provide approvals for your use of biological resources. Fine. Then this foreign controlled company जो है definition have changed. This is foreign control companies are the companies which are not, you can say, incorporated in India. Okay, but in definition of Biological Act, it says that there are some companies which are incorporated in India. So there is somewhat of kind of ambiguity in this definition. Fine. Then you have very important change. Under this we have some exemptions, new exemptions. And what are these new exemptions under this amendment, new amendment? What are these exemptions to the approval? What are these exemptions to the approval? Codified traditional knowledge, and this is the major bone of contention. Codified traditional knowledge. Anybody can use codified traditional knowledge and it is not been defined. Issue ये है कि ये interpretation को के लिए छोड़ दी. Traditional, codified traditional knowledge is not defined anywhere in CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity, or in this act. In WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization, वहां define है. Any knowledge which is in written and structure form is नॉन एज कोडिफाइड नॉलेज। कोई भी चीज जो लिखी और स्ट्रक्चर्ड फॉर्म में है, समझ लो, वो क्या कहलाएगी आपका, वो क्या कहलाएगी आपका कोडिफाइड ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज। नाउ इशू इज दिस, was Indian company that goes international, no, that's the issue, the definition is ambiguous, वो क्लियरली डिफाइन नहीं करती कंपनीज को कौन सी फॉरेन कंपनीज हैं कौन सी इंडियन है। दैट इज द एम्बिग्यूटी इन दिस न्यू अमेंडमेंट। गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? लाइक Indian company which is going foreign will be considered if it is registered under Companies Act 2013 as a Indian company, वो आपका क्या है, Indian company count होगी। Indian companies do not have to take approval, they have to now, if they are using for research purposes or biosurveys, they will not share the benefit. That's the main point, I will talk in detail. So this is one of the codified traditional knowledge is not defined anywhere, but in WIPO it is defined as well written and structured information of any process or product. अब issue ये है, under Biological Diversity Act 2002 we have rules in 2004. In those rules it was defined as the Biodiversity Management Committee's one function was to write down, to register all the knowledge in written form. अब वो तो सारी knowledge written form में आ गई है, codify हो गई है, means every kind of traditional knowledge will be codified now and anybody can use that knowledge. ये तो interpretation पे चली गई ना बात, getting it or not, कि आपका everything in last rule Biological Diversity Act Rule 2004, they have assigned a work for the biodiversity, or you can say biological diversity management committees at every district level to notify, to register those traditional knowledge into the written form. अब वो सारी codify होगी, means almost every traditional knowledge is out of preview of this Biodiversity Act. फिर इसका फायदा ही क्या हुआ? Getting it or not? This is the one of the most controversial, you can say, term in this Amendment Act. Second thing is the exemptions is if some Indian company or individuals are cultivating medicinal plants or Ayush practitioners, and the thing is they will not share the benefit with the traditional communities. अब फिर आप कैसे कंजर्वेशन को उनको इन्वेस्ट, इफ यू आर नॉट एनकरेजिंग communities, local communities to invest their energy, their money for conservation of resources, because you are not providing the benefits, why they will conserve it? The states like Himachal and Uttarakhand or hilly states are asking for more financial resources because they are conserving the natural resources which are providing ecosystem services to all the people in country, and they are doing that. They should be given incentives for that, and if you are not providing incentives to the people, why they will conserve them? And this bill have more exemptions than rules, तो exemptions बनेंगे, ठीक है। Then approval of IPR. The issue with approval of IPR is it will be for Indian companies, the approval is needed at commercial level, not at, you can say, initial level. It is when you are commercializing your product, then you should have permission. Getting my point? And for foreign companies, they need approval while filing their patent. Then the another very important and controversial thing is they have removed, or you can say they have diluted the role of local people in deciding the benefits. Now the biological or biodiversity management committee, which will be assigned the function of negotiating the benefits with the company, foreign or Indian company which is using the natural resources. अब इसमें लोगों का रोल तो नहीं है ना. And Nagoya Protocol specifically mentioned that the benefit sharing should be discussed with the local communities or tribal communities which are the main, you can say, people affected by those resources. अब जो नगोया प्रोटोकॉल का एसेंस है वही निकाल दे रहे हो आप. यू आर नॉट मेकिंग द लोकल कम्युनिटीज पावरफुल. उनका रोल ही खत्म कर दिया. ए कमिटी विल डिसाइड द बेनिफिट शेयरिंग एंड विच विल हैव मेंबर्स असाइंड बाय नेशनल बायोडाइवर्सिटी अथॉरिटी. तो वो फिर नगोया प्रोटोकॉल की इनलाइन मतलब कैसे रहा वो. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट. दीज आर few important. Then they have decriminalized the offenses. For example, in past there was a penalty or prison up to 5 years. Now there will be only penalties. Now there will be only penalties, and these penalties are ambiguous. These penalties can be from 1 lakh to 1 crore, 1 CR. But there is nothing defined for any kind of, you can say, who will get the 1 lakh penalty, who will get the 50 lakh, who will the 1 crore. Everything will be decided by the committee, which was, you can say, which the member of those committee will be from National Biodiversity Authority. Inclusiveness तो रही नहीं ना फिर. Getting my point. NBA has judicial role, or you can say civil judge का काम करते थे. Now they have, now the penalties will be defined by not a judicial member but by a person appointed by National Biodiversity Authority. Now this is in question. How you can replace a judicial procedure by a single authority, executive? We want to separation of powers हमें चाहिए ना constitutional level पे, and we are going back to that point. Penalties by executive members, not the judicial members. तो वो कैसे आपका, how it can, if that person is not from judicial, and this is based on investigation. Just they will put the penalties on the basis of investigation. The other party will not have any say. जो judicial role था NBA का वो खत्म हो गया फिर. Getting it or not? Any issues with this? And there was a case, Divya Pharmacy versus Union of India. Divya Pharmacy versus, हाँ, क्वाजी जुडिशियल फंक्शन उसका खत्म कर दिया फिर. एंड देयर वाज अ केस दिव्या फार्मेसी वर्सेस इंडियन यूनियन 2019. इन दैट केस उत्तराखंड हाई कोर्ट हैज मेंशन्ड दैट द लोकल कम्युनिटी should have important role in benefit sharing. They are the ones who should get the benefit finally, in line with Nagoya Protocol. Now this bill have some controversial issues. This bill is now with parliamentary committee and which will give its inputs, and then this will be discussed again in Lok Sabha. Fine. Any issues with this? Now second thing is about our new 52nd Tiger Reserve. 52nd Tiger Reserve. So 52nd Tiger Reserve is in Rajasthan. Which one is in Rajasthan? Ramgarh Vishdhari Tiger Reserve. It is in between your Ranthambore and your, you can say, this is Ranthambore Tiger Reservoir. This is Ramgarh Vishdhari Tiger Reserve. This is 52nd Reserve, Tiger Reserve of India, 52nd Tiger Reserve of India, and fourth Tiger Reserve of Rajasthan. What are other three? This is Ramgarh Vishdhari. Ramgarh Vishdhari Tiger Reserve. So it is between Mukundra Hills Tiger Reserve and Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. It is between these two. The thing is, this tiger reserve or wildlife sanctuary does not contain large number or large population of tigers, but this is the important buffer between these two tiger reserves. Which two? Ranthambore and Mukundra. Ranthambore and Mukundra Hills. देखो इन दोनों के बीच में, this is Mukundra Hills National Park, this is Ranthambore, and this is your Ramgarh Wildlife Sanctuary. So this will be your 52nd. This will be your 52nd Tiger Reserve. Okay, and the population is not so much. The population is less compared to Ranthambore as well as Mukundra Hills, but the issue is this is a buffer between these two, and this buffer is very, very important when there is the rise in population of these two places. Population of tigers in these two places, tiger diffuses into these places. Getting my point? And that's why this was declared as 52nd. And other one is Sariska Tiger Reserve. There are 4 tiger reserves in Rajasthan. Okay, so you should have an idea when such things comes in news. You should have an idea which is the main authority which is looking over these tiger reserves or project tigers. NTCA, which is the major authority? NTCA. NTCA is the major authority which will look for the NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority. Okay, established in 2006 under Wildlife Act. Under Wildlife Act Protection Act, under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Fine. And other thing is, which state or central government which can have say in assigning a new tiger reserve, or both state and center can make a new tiger reserve, but with the prior approval or consent of NTCA. किसकी चाहिए? NTCA की. Fine. NTCA. Now you should have an idea about, and this what are the project tiger or tiger reserves? Tiger reserves have same, you can say, protection status as wildlife sanctuaries, but they here the main species will be your, or you can say umbrella species will be your tigers. Umbrella species will be your tigers, and these tiger reserves are on the basis of core and buffer. In core, there will be no human activities allowed. In buffer, there can be some activities with permission. There can be some activities with permission. Okay. You should have an idea about latest census. The total number of tigers in India is now 2967 in last survey 2018. लास्ट सर्वे के अकॉर्डिंग कितने? 2018 के हिसाब से कितने? 2967 tigers are there in India. And these tigers, what is the threatened status of these tigers? They are endangered species under IUCN list. They are endangered species under IUCN. Endangered है. There are 3 categories which are under threatened category. One is critically endangered, endangered and vulnerable. Bengal tigers are endangered species. And you should have an idea. Highest number कहाँ है? MP. MP is the state which have highest population of tigers, 526, closely followed by Karnataka, 524. Then you have Maharashtra, 3112, and then you have, oh sorry, Uttarakhand. Third is Uttarakhand. At third place is Uttarakhand, and at fourth you have Maharashtra, and fifth you have Tamil Nadu. Fifth you have Tamil Nadu. These 5 states have highest number of Bengal tigers. Okay, MP, Karnataka, Uttarakhand, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu. You should have an idea about these. Fine. चलिए यहीं अपना सेशन ओवर करते हैं. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, Snigdha ma'am will be taking your session of international relations, current affairs of international relations. Thank you.